and Brad, the two most famous physical therapists on the internet.
You didn't even get that on film. Do it again.
Oh, sorry, Bob. I thought that first clap. Okay, Bob and Brad on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hi, folks. I'm Bob Schrupp, physical therapist.
Brad Heineck, physical therapist.
Together we are the most famous physical therapists on the internet.
In our opinion, of course, Bob.
Today, Brad, simple title: What can cause shoulder pain?
It's as simple as that, but it's an excellent question, and we're going to explain the 4 most common causes in our opinion.
Right. And by the way, if you are new to our channel and you haven't seen us at all, sorry that you are now seeing us. No, if you are new to our channel, please take a second to subscribe to us. We provide videos how to stay healthy, fit, pain-free, and we upload every day. Also, go over to Facebook and like us, because Brad and I, as children, it was a sad story. We were picked on, and now we're turning things around.
So like us on the Facebook.
Yeah, like us.
Okay,
So,
shoulder pain. A common cause that everyone's aware of is trauma. In other words, you slipped and fell on the ice, landed on your shoulder, car accident.
no big surprise there if you hurt your shoulder.
But, you know, even with a shoulder fracture, there's more than one bone that can be fractured. You know, the humerus, that big bone.
Well, we got to show it on Napoleon.
Wow, good idea. We haven't had them out for a while.
That's right, Napoleon bone apart. But you can see, you can obviously fracture the humerus. That's this bone right here, the main one that comes up into the shoulder. But this is probably, this one's more fractured more often than any other bone.
Right.
It's one of the most common bones in the body. Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay, who's he play for?
Let's get on with the show, Bob.
They're not in the playoffs this year, I see.
Yeah, well, it's first time in years, Bob.
Yeah. So anyway, he fractured this one. It can happen when you land right on the point of the shoulder.
Very common, yeah.
My son did it trying to catch a Frisbee.
Right.
So
I fractured mine. There's usually not to do with it. They leave it heal in about 4 to 6 weeks, maybe some therapy depending on you know, your situation. But
the other thing, Brad, you can actually dislocate the shoulder, and generally the shoulder dislocates going to the front.
Sure.
It does, you know, very rarely does it dislocate going to the back. So things like going when your arm goes this way, the shoulder goes forward and goes out. So.
So those are the 3 big causes from trauma. Now the next common shoulder problem is there is no apparent reason.
Right, it just shows up.
It just kind of gets worse and worse over time. It starts out with a little pain, and eventually, typically, you find reaching into the cupboard, oh, that hurts. And then after a while, you can't even get your arm up there. You get up to here, and it's painful, and that's impingement.
And this is the most common thing that I see in the clinic. And in most cases, it's caused by the shoulder is actually, bring him back again.
Yep, he's coming back for more.
This shoulder bone right here is actually a little bit forward in the socket. And what does that come from, Brad? It comes from usually a lot of sitting and working at the computer, you know, and that shoulder gets moved forward, rounded out here. We always like to show this one, Brad, don't we? How if you're in bad posture like this, look how high my shoulder can go. This is it. I can't go any farther. This is it, because I got bad posture. Good posture, look at that. But bad posture, that's actually pinching right here now.
And that's where the name of the
impingement comes from.
Impingement, right.
So it's often a posture thing or just an overuse thing where you're using the shoulder a lot.
Oftentimes, people that work overhead, you know.
Sure, they're very susceptible to this.
Right.
But you don't even have to work overhead. You can just be doing you know, a lot of computer work or getting in that bad position. So
the one neat thing about this is, as far as symptoms, is the impingement is happening here, but oftentimes you feel the pain down about 3 inches on the outside of your shoulder. It's just a referral pain, and it's kind of one of those things that it's very common as therapists.
Yeah, since Brad has mentioned this to me, because I really did not know that, you know, that was a common location. I knew pain refers down. I've seen this so often now that somebody will go, yeah, I have pain right here.
Yeah.
And quite often it ends up being that supraspinatus impingement. So that gives you a little hint what might be going on if you're...
Now, Bob, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just saw the next shoulder problem, and it relates to here. We're in Minnesota, January 2nd, It's frozen shoulder syndrome.
Oh God, is it cold out there today?
It's like 10 below zero.
I think it's cold over the whole country, but we're really suffering here.
Right. But if the wind chill factor makes up for it. Though.
Yeah, it's only 30 below then. So.
Okay, so the other term for this is more technical term is adhesive capsulitis.
Right.
Frozen shoulder is a lot easier to say and understand. It makes more sense to most people. This is one of those things that comes on typically without apparent reason.
It might be after trauma, but a lot of times, yeah, there's nothing that happened at all and just shows up and you're like, why did this happen to me?
The really good thing about frozen shoulder symptoms is they studied it, and it almost always gets better within 6 to 12 months, whether you treat it or not.
And that's the problem, though, because, I mean, 6 to 12 months is a long time.
That's the bad part.
And it can hurt. You know, usually with intervention, if you do some therapy, you can maybe shorten those cycles.
Sure.
But it seems like it's got to go through its freezing cycle, you know, basically frozen, and then through its unfreezing cycle, and then the thawed out stage, you know, where you start working on getting the strength back and stuff.
So the people I've worked with, the worst frozen, they get, you know, they get up to about here, and that's as far as it's going, you know, in flexion or out to the side. And we'll work some aggressive stretching as tolerated, heat it up, and use a number of other things.
Yeah, the sign of that, if you're wondering if you have it, generally is you're going to have pain, obviously, but you're also almost limited in all directions.
Right.
I mean, you're not just limited this way, you're limited this way, this way, this way.
Hence the term adhesive capsulitis.
Right.
If you're a therapist, that makes more sense. Otherwise, it's just another term.
Yeah.
And should we go to the fourth one, Bob?
Well, the fourth one is almost kind of like fake shoulder pain, isn't it?
It is. And this is one that is kind of fun for me as a therapist, because I remember once I had a patient come in, shoulder pain, and it was diagnosed as a possible scapular fracture.
Oh, really?
Thought that the x-ray showed us a small fracture in the shoulder blade right back here. Well, I looked at her and I said, can you do this with your neck? And she went back like this, and she got so fired, she said, oh no, that hurts right down in my lower neck. And so we worked on her lower neck, and guess what? Her shoulder pain went away in 2 visits.
And Brad and I concur on this, because quite often I see the same thing as like, you know, we're always looking to see, because pain can easily go from the shoulder all the way down into the hand.
Right.
And I mean, from the neck all the way down into the hand. And quite often, yeah, the thing that you're going to see, you know, first off, a lot of times you do shoulder stuff and it really doesn't hurt. You know, you test it, but you do this, and like you said, the first thing you notice is you have them go back and they go this far. You know, they just don't have, or they maybe go this far instead of going like this.
And it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And usually the pain is back in that same area.
It starts sending pain down. Obviously, when it really becomes apparent that it's from the neck is when you go like this and it starts going down the arm.
Right.
Or when you go down like this and it goes down the arm.
Right. And it'll go all the way down into the hands and fingertips as well, you know, on a more severe case. But it can be mistaken as a shoulder problem, and it's not uncommon that it is. So that's one of those red flag ones or whatever, the caution signs out. Always be aware that the neck can refer over into that shoulder.
I know one test I like to do, Brad, is I just turn their head this way, go back.
Okay, yep.
Should I do it on you once?
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
So he turns his head. I'm going to test this side. So he turns his head to the right and then goes back a little bit, and I just push down a little bit.
Right.
And we're really jamming all those joints together, and we're pushing on the nerve. If it hurts, you know, if it sends pain down there, that means that it's a possibility it is coming from the neck, obviously. So again, turn, back, push down. And I'm pushing down lightly. I'm not pushing down real hard.
With his fingertips.
With my fingertips, that keeps me honest.
Sure.
We forgot to mention under the trauma, the rotator cuff tear, didn't we?
Oh my goodness, we're going to have to back up.
So
How can we forget that?
Under trauma, a rotator cuff tear is very common. It often is someone who has an impingement that just keeps wearing away at the tendon, and then eventually you end up doing something maybe not even that forceful, and the rotator cuff is actually the tendon tears. And show what you're also going to see with that, Brad.
If you have a complete rupture of a rotator cuff, this is a real common, and I'll say, can you lift your arm up in front of you like this? And the patient will go like this. And they're doing the best they can, and it goes about this far, and then they compensate with their trunk.
Or if if they are able to lift it, like if Brad is able to lift it, let's say this high, and I just push on it and it just gives away automatically, immediately. it just that means there's usually a tear in there. I mean,
Right.
I've seen it where there wasn't a tear; it just all fired up and inflamed really bad. But in most cases, it was a tear.
Yep.
So. Now, we obviously didn't give you any treatments in this video, but you know, if you see kind of that you're leaning towards one of these, we have videos on all these. Just go into our little
Google Bob and Brad and put, if you got frozen shoulder, put Bob and Brad frozen shoulder, and we'll come up, and you can get into our playlist, because we have playlists on I think every one of these as well.
Also, Brad, if you Google Bob and Brad and put broken heart, we'll have a video on how to fix a broken heart, because we can fix just about anything.
Except for that broken heart.
Well, that means we can't fix it.
Right, but we're working on it.
Well, we're working on it.
That video's coming up. Maybe this is the year for it.
I doubt it. All right, thanks.